a collision between a strong society and a weak state. And it's in this context that we should ask ourselves, and this is the time to really begin going to the Q&A. And so how will these reforms occur to transform India into a liberal, strong state?
We have time for some questions. I would ask strongly for the questioners to keep the questions kind of short and focused, not go into long speeches. Show of hands. There's a mic over there. Are you right there?
Yeah. So my question was that there are a lot of issues that are really important to India, whether they are economic, social, or political, which the Aam Aadmi Party never really issues any statement on. They don't have an opinion on anything. How am I, whenever I go back and start voting, how am I supposed to judge a party that has no opinion on important issues? Because the fact is, all these issues, development and social structures, are important.
Anyone?
So first of all, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So let me just turn that around a little bit. Have you found responses to the kind of issues that you have with the Aam Aadmi Party? Have you found answers with, let's say, one of the other parties? I mean, you have somebody like, the Congress who's been around for donkey's years, right, running the country. Do we know anything about any views about the Gandhis and what they think about anything? We don't, right? That's the nature of Indian politics. So if you look at how they have to respond to queries such as this, from a strategic point of view, when you're running a campaign and running an election, I think the average Aam Aadmi who goes out there and votes, I'm not defending this by any means. I mean, I'm just telling you the reason why you don't get answers to some of those questions is because people like you who actually ask some of these questions eventually don't go out and vote. I know that's not an excuse for not having those answers, but the reality is that if you were to look at it from a strategic election point of view, you'd rather spend your efforts going out and competing for votes of the people who would actually vote in the elections, rather than address questions like this with people who would argue forever, but not, eventually vote.
I'm going to be on his side on this one, and I'm going to really say that when a movement changes to a political party, you deserve to have a manifesto. You deserve to have a position on issues. And so I think what he's expressing is a very legitimate. By saying that others do not have satisfactory manifestos or platforms is not the answer. I do think that when you entered politics, then you should have answers. And in fact, the other difference is that the people that the Aam Aadmi is appealing to are him. And they are going to ask questions. They're not worried about caste and religion and any of those things. They will ask questions. So he deserves an answer.
No, I'm not saying he doesn't deserve an answer.
I will answer because I was in November last year with both Arvind and Prashant, sitting down on exactly the kind of things that are there. They have formed, and I don't know if you read the latest Tehelka article, they're incorruptible. It points out the evolution of the party, because when you first formed the party and you've been fighting anti-corruption, the answers are coming. They're also being promoted by the people. They have formed a group of intellectual thinkers, and they're also drawing on what Professor Gurcharan Das has said about the neutral. These things are changing. I had many discussions with Prashant on this neutral versus the thing. Because I'm an entrepreneur. I said, what are you going to do to help the entrepreneurs? Okay? And it's not, what he has as a point is that the businesses, they get a very sweet heartbeat by bribing the politicians, which is true. Let me just say a couple of things about two things that you have mentioned in your book, at least one of them. The water supply. Okay? The water supply, and I've looked at the whole discussion that takes place, was a big scam. Okay? The same thing was happened, Prashant brought to my attention, I was fighting with him because at that time it was 2000, Enron. Has anybody heard of Enron? Okay. Enron went to India, bribed the politicians, got a very sweetheart deal to provide privatization of electric supply. Okay? the prices they were projecting, because there's no control and thing, would be 4 times as much. And it's important to the common person. Maybe the rich person, the budget is nothing. If your half your budget is going in electricity, then what are you going to do the money from? And the same thing they were
But Abhay, sorry to
I'm just going to
interrupt you.
complete the thing there. Okay, so what I'm saying is the answers to the questions that you raised are coming, and they are being drafted. And so I don't know when you looked at it, if you can send me an email, the type of questions you have, I'll try to get the answer. So it's not that they're not concerned about it. It's
Yeah, but you know, I think, Abhay, the problem is they are too concerned with crony capitalism. What people want to know is how do you create rules-based capitalism? How do we change our institutions? Don't tell us this person is corrupt. They spend 90% of their time telling us who is corrupt and who is not corrupt, rather than telling us how do we reform our institutions so that entrepreneurs can succeed.
No, I 100% agree, okay? But what I'm saying is the group is being formed.
So don't tell me about Enron. Enron is one.
No, I agree.
Tell us about the million entrepreneurs.
I'm not
whose
talking
energies we have.
I'm talking about there are certain things that are for privatization. There's certain things that are for public. For example, I live in the city of Palo Alto. It doesn't use PG&E. It has its own utilities and has its own water supply and own gas, own company, city of Palo Alto. My rates for electricity are half of what the person pays in PG&E. Okay? And it's all balanced and controlled by. So what you said, Krishna Dasi, this decentralization, giving the power to the people. If it is there, they should be involved. If the land is being taken, they should be involved. It should not be centralized top down. And that's the point. Absolutely right.
I agree with that.
Exactly. So the question, the answer, it just doesn't come in one way. I mean, who's going to decide the answer? So it does take time. That's what I'm saying.
You have a question? Where is the
Who has the mic?
Right here, then you.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a question. So, Aam Aadmi Party was formed to get Jan Gopal bill, and Arvind Kejriwal, he's promoting this idea that if we get Jan Gopal bill, we'll reduce our corruption from 60% to up to 90% now, and that will solve almost all of the problems. But this Jan Gopal bill is supposed